Tanks. Sometimes they come with waifus. Other times, cars blow up when touching them. Even if you aren't a military otaku, I think it's safe to say that tanks are pretty fun. But what if a human moved like the tank? Is that still fun? Video game developers thought so once upon a time. Were they onto something, or were they snorting lines off of each other's asses? Let's talk about it. Stupid intro aside, let's set something straight right off the bat. This is not a history video. I will not be diving into the history and origins of the control scheme. Then what is the video about, Emperor? My opinion. This video is my 2 cents on the matter. Honestly, I feel a bit silly because this discourse will probably respawn the second Capcom drops the next mainline Resident Evil game, or if Konami remakes another of the OG Silent Hill games, but whatever. Citizens of the Empire and theater-going witches who may stumble upon this video, I ask of thee, listen to a madman ramble. Maybe I can change your mind, or co-sign it. Let me start with this. It doesn't matter if tank controls were created because of hardware limitations or because of design choice. Stop being a nerd and finding things to argue in circles about. The only thing that matters is it fun? Is it fun to engage with? The Emperor says, yes, tank controls are great. Halt. Once again, let me set something straight. Just because I said tank controls are great does not mean I like every single game that uses it. Just because I said tank controls are great does not mean I want every single game to use this control scheme. Stop that one-size-fits-all malarkey. That's one of gaming's problems today. Games falling under a handful of categories playstyle-wise. It's perfectly okay for a control scheme to exist for one genre, I promise. Furthermore, it's okay for you, yes you, to learn and get comfortable with a control scheme. As a quick aside, I do not subscribe to the logic of there is no such thing as bad controls in a video game, but that's a can of worms for another day. So what are tank controls anyways? It's self-explanatory. The character moves like a tank. But let's say you have no idea how a tank moves. Basically, you can only move in one direction at a time, straight forward or straight backwards. If you want to turn, you have to position yourself in place, then start moving forward again. When moving forward, you can slightly lean to the left or right, but no drastic, sudden 90-degree turns. If that sounds weird, it's because humans don't obviously move like that. As stated earlier, it's a learning curve. You have to fiddle around with it to get used to it, but I promise it's not rocket science. So, what about what tank controls go good with? Survival horror. Survival horror is pretty much the genre this entire control scheme was made up for. Ultra high compatibility. But again, just because a survival horror game may have tank controls does not mean it's implemented good. Alone in the Dark, Resident Evil, Silent Hill, and a plethora of indie games that follow suit after them are some examples. Tank controls work best with slow-paced gameplay, to put it bluntly. Like putting butter with your toast, word to Ed. Turning speed can be slower, because you won't need to worry about enemies speed blitzing and twerking on your flanks. Action games have medium compatibility with this control scheme. Essentially, the controls need to be altered from the slower style found in survival horror. Turning speed needs to be faster. Auto aim needs to be more aggressive, to the point where it helps with positioning. Quick turning is practically a must, and enemies should not move too fast. Onimusha is a good example of an action game where tank controls work. It adheres to everything I listed, and more. Conversely, I think Nightmare Creatures is a good example where tank controls do not work. Not only are enemies too fast, but I feel like they never want to fight you front on, and instead are constantly tap dancing to your sides, allowing for free real estate on your health bar. The same logic applies to third-person shooters, though I'd say the genre has an even lower compatibility. Mega Man Legends is doable, while Duke Nukem Time to Kill is Siphon Filter is also doable, but Jesus Christ, Siphon Filter 1 Gabe is hilarious. Platformers have the lowest compatibility, if you ask me. Platformers require precision, and tanks aren't precise. Also, you don't have all day. Platformers like to test your reflex and speed, and tanks aren't fast either. Bubsy 3D is all that needs to be said on the matter. I don't know, man. Stop operating in extremes. Tank controls are good when implemented properly, like everything else. But here we are, once again, having the same tired conversation of antiquated this and outdated that. Give things a try for yourself. You may or may not have seen the online posts of, it only takes 15 minutes. Ignore all of that. Take your time. Take it from the Emperor. It took me 13 years, 1-3, to finally get Fallout 3. Gothic is my favorite RPG ever, and it took me a while to learn that control scheme too. I'm not saying you have to love tank controls, but give it a genuine try. More importantly though, how about some games that use the control scheme that I recommend? I really enjoyed Alyssa from Casper Coes. Coes? 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 There I go again with developer names I can't pronounce. It has a cool premise, slight Maho Shoujo mechanics, multiple boss fights, and multiple endings that are actually different from one another. I streamed this entire game on Twitch many moons ago, and I thoroughly recommend it. Studio System Guardian Angel is another one I recommend. I have an entire video on it. Make me happy and take a gander at it if you haven't already. In it, you play as this downer cutie who's searching for her friends after they had the bright idea of exploring an abandoned film studio located underneath their school. It's seriously great. Watch my video. Murder House by Puppet Combo is still probably their best game to me and feels like an actual adventure and not bullshit on rails. What I mean is, it feels like an actual game you can play for yourself and not clickbait, surprise face thumbnail stuff. Remember the demo for Resident Evil 7? He's playing as them dweebs with the camera, searching for empty houses, abandoned houses for your little show documentary thingamabob. That's practically the premise for Murder House. It's solid. Of course, the classics go without saying too. Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2, Code Veronica, Resident Evil 0, yes I skipped Resident Evil 3 for a reason, do not bring it up, Silent Hill 1 and 2 and 3, Onimusha, yada yada yada, hinga dinga unga bunga. What about y'all? Talk to me, citizens of the Empire and theater-going witches. What are some tank control games you love and that you'd use to defend the control scheme? If you're wondering why I haven't brought up the likes of God Hand, that's because I haven't played it in its entirety. There are also other popular indie games that have been sitting in my library that I haven't got around to yet, such as Crow Country, Signalis, Tormented Souls, etc. This discourse will respawn again down the line, but at least here in the Empire, the record is straight. Maybe I changed your mind. Maybe you might thinking of actually giving a tank control game another shot. If you ask it what the Emperor says, I say, do it. Give it another shot and take your time. Thanks for watching, everybody.